How is it going, everybody? Sean Ross here, and welcome back to the channel, guys. And yes, I am now officially caught back up with my MHA chapter reviews, and I am ready to talk about and to discuss the big milestone that we crossed this week for the manga of MHA. We crossed the 200th chapter mark. 200 chapters for My Hero Academia. I think that deserves a minor celebration, so I just definitely want to congratulate Horikoshi and his staff for reaching 200 chapters, and I can't wait to see what the next 100 chapters, until we get to chapter 300, what that journey is going to bestow upon us. I am really looking forward to seeing what the future holds for My Hero Academia. But wheeling it back just a little bit so that way we can talk about chapter 200, there's going to be some interesting content to talk about, but there's also going to be some interesting, dare I say, lack of content to also talk about. This chapter definitely comes with positives and negatives, and we will be talking about all of that, but let's not focus on the negatives just yet. Let's focus in on the positives, because this week for My Hero Academia, in case you guys were unaware, this was a really damn good week for My Hero Academia. We start off this week with the My Hero Academia movie Two Heroes premiering in the United States, and it is selling fantastically well, doing so great at the box office. And plus, I love getting to see everyone tweeting about how much fun they are having seeing this movie. So there are great things happening with MHA on the movie front, but then also on the anime front, we just came to the season finale of My Hero Academia Season 3, where we all got to see my boy, Mirio Togata, literally in all of his glory, taking down Class 1A. I loved getting to see that, plus the tease that they put in there for the content that we are going to get for Season 4. I cannot wait for Season 4 to come out. Whenever a date gets announced, I'm going to be hyped, and I am going to be ready. And plus, also this week, we also have Volume 15 of the manga for My Hero Academia releasing in the United States. Plus, we also had Chapter 200, so the movie, the ending of the anime, Volume 15, which I am still waiting to get, and then Chapter 200, that all happened this past week. So it's safe to say, if you're a My Hero Academia fan, this was a pretty damn good week.
That's beautiful! So noble! Bravo! Bravo!
But pushing all of those great things aside, let's focus in on Chapter 200, because right now, you can feel the uneasiness from the readers that read My Hero Academia on a weekly basis, to where we have positives and negatives going into each new chapter, because with Chapter 200, this is a big milestone, and we're happy with the fact that this series has reached the 200 chapter mark, but that feeling does kind of get overshadowed just a little bit due to the fact that this chapter is one of the shortest chapters we most likely have gotten thus far for MHA. This was only 11 pages long. And for the past couple weeks right now, the chapters have been ranging from 15 pages to 13 pages, and now we got an 11-page chapter, to where we are used to the norm of 17 to 18-page chapters. Now, I'm not going to sit here and explain to you guys that, like, I have the answer as to why this is the case. I honestly do not know. I know many people are speculating, and they say online what the main reason might be, that Horikoshi might be sick, that it could be other factors entirely. Maybe Horikoshi is trying to platinum the Spider-Man video game. I honestly have no idea. But the biggest reassurance that I do have right now actually comes from Horikoshi himself, with the author comment that he left in this week's Weekly Shonen Jump with the Chapter 200. And his comment read as follows: "My pages, so sorry. I'll work hard to increase the pace." Horikoshi knows that his page count has been lacking these past couple of chapters, and he's doing everything that he can with whatever is going on currently to get it back to normalcy, to where we can expect 17 to 18 page chapters on a weekly basis. And I am reassured seeing this comment, but it doesn't mean that we should just expect radical changes popping up in Chapter 201, to where that chapter is just going to be a normal chapter that we should expect. I am expecting to look at these next few weeks, these next few chapters, and to see a gradual increase in the page length. Maybe next week's chapter 201 will be 13 pages, the week after that will be 15, then maybe 15 again, and then back to 17, and maybe then we will be back to a normal length of 17 and 18 page chapters. But if that's not the case, and we go the next couple of weeks and we still get 11 to 13 page chapters, then we should kind of worry, and maybe Horikoshi just needs a break. He just needs to reanalyze and regroup, and then after that break, come back and just come back swinging and deliver upon us the greatness that we should expect from My Hero Academia. But that's just what I want to state on what has been talked about with the recent page lengths that have been going on with these chapters. I don't really want to assume anything, but I'm hoping for the best, and I'm hoping that Horikoshi is able to rectify this. That way we can just come in and week out and just expect that My Hero Academia greatness. So moving away from that negative aspect of this chapter, let's actually talk about the real juicy stuff, the content that went down in chapter 200, because even though this chapter was short, we had some great developments, and the art still does look good in this chapter. I love all the stuff that we got with Class B in this chapter, with Kanoko's quirk, Manga's quirk, and the rivalry that is going on between Momo and Kendo. I love that stuff. So let's go back to the beginning of this chapter, to where we start off with a celebratory cover page with most of our main characters smiling back at us and just celebrating that 200 chapter milestone. But moving from the cover page, we dive into what is currently going on to start off this chapter with the second match, because we are coming off of the cliffhanger of Kinoko, our mushroom girl from Class B, moving into the battlefield and beginning to spread her mushrooms everywhere, and she just begins to envelop the entire environment. They spread everywhere, and they're even starting to cover all of the members of Class A. They are on Momo, they are on Tokoyami, and they're even growing on Toru, which leads into a very funny moment of her being very embarrassed that her curves and her silhouette are beginning to show thanks to all of the mushrooms growing on her body. But I like the fact that we are getting to see more of Class B on display, and I just love getting to see Kinoko's personality shining through on these beginning pages of this chapter, because she is just dancing through these fields of mushrooms, naming off the different types of mushrooms, and then she's just beginning to sing to herself, grow, grow, cover the earth with me, make it shroomtastic. And then we get the description of Kinoko Komori's quirk of mushroom, to where she has the ability to where spores shoot from her body and instantaneously grow into fields of mushrooms. They spread and grow faster in humid conditions. And that little piece of information right there actually plays a factor later on in this chapter, and I love getting to see that play out. But it should come as no surprise that Kinoko's hero name is actually mushroom-oriented in some way, shape, or form. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Caleb Cook, who is the Viz translator for My Hero, who brought this to the reader's attention, where he explains that Kinoko's hero name of Shimeji is related to the mushroom shimeji, which is a localized mushroom in Asian countries. So that is where you get the connection of mushrooms with Kinoko's hero name. And then we also come to learn that even though she may spam her powers of mushrooms all across the environment, she only has a time limit of 2 to 3 hours. So she does have a limitation right there. But from what we actually get to see from Kinoko with her quirk, her wardrobe, and her hero name, I like her overall character, and I really do like the fact also that she mainly comes in here as a distraction to save Kurohiro from getting captured from Class A, and what we see, Kurohiro is currently hiding within one of the mushrooms, using his quirk of black to where he's just kind of biding his time until he can come back out and strike back at Class A. So with this second match thus far that we've seen between Class A and Class B, I can honestly state with what we have seen that Class B has been working better as a team than Class A. When you look at Class A being led by Yaoyorozu, they aren't really working very team-oriented. Currently right now they are separated and they are panicking with these mushrooms spreading everywhere. They aren't remaining calm, and Momo cannot get them together to regroup and formulate a counter strategy. But when you look over to Class B, all of their plans have been set into motion, and they have been leading around Class A basically within the palm of their hand. And this all comes down to Kendo. She is the one coming up with the strategies and coming up with the plan, to where she sent in Kurohiro, wanted him to do specific things, and he was able to do it. He was able to go in, take control of Dark Shadow, and then in the end, have Aoyama activate his light, his naval laser, and then Plan B was in motion with Kinoko entering the battlefield, and then depending on what Class A did next, they would send in Plan C, D, and E. So right now, Kendo has been very impressive, and I've stated this for this match. The winner and the team that's going to win this match, it's going to come down to whether or not Momo or Kendo can lead their team to victory. And with what we have seen thus far, Kendo is doing a better job, because Momo right now is trying to get her panicked team back together to regroup, but Kendo is not going to allow that to happen, because as soon as they are trying to do that, Plan C for Class B starts off, we hear sound effects going off in the distance, and then out of nowhere, we see these gigantic words just popping out of thin air. Our manga hero is finally making his debut, and I have waited for this moment because I have been very curious to see what this man is able to do with the quirk that he has, and it is a very unique one. Manga Fugadashi, aka Comic Man, has the quirk of comic, where he is able to bring onomatopoeias to life. And like he just demonstrated, he brought the words of Bam, Ka-Slam, and Wama Bam into existence, and they are cutting through this entire environment, the setting they are fighting in, and has separated Class A from each other. So, onomatopoeias, sound effects, and I'm kind of wondering if memes can also be brought to life by this man, but I think that's a question and discussion for another time. But then not only do we come to learn that he can just, pop these into existence, they can also affect the environment around them, because then he brings in the onomatopoeia of Jimmy Jimmy, which translates to humid. And this goes back to what we learned about Kinoko's quirk with her mushrooms, that they can grow faster in a humid environment. So combining that aspect with the fact that our manga character can bring humid into the environment without it even being a part of the environment, just goes to show how powerful of a tag team these characters can be. So whenever they need to spread these mushrooms like wildfire, just have Kinoko and manga on standby, and you will just see these mushrooms grow so rapidly. And it's at this point, with Toru, Tokoyami, and Aoyama, I don't really see how they can combat against this special move, this combo move between Kinoko and manga. I'm very curious just to see more of it, but with what has been demonstrated right now, it is very impressive, and I'm liking the manga dude. Very, very unique quirk. I was not expecting onomatopoeias to bring forth into life, but that is really cool. But as we come to see with the separation that manga has been able to do, Momo, the brains of Class A, has been separated from the rest of her team, and now she's on her own. And this is leading into the rivalry that I have been waiting to see this entire match go down. I have wanted a one-on-one match, and we are actually getting it. We just have Kendo coming out of the darkness, and we are getting a Kendo versus Momo fight. And you can kind of tell that there's a lot riding on this rivalry with this matchup between Kendo and Momo respectively, because with Kendo, she wants to defeat Yaoyorozu to prove to everyone watching, but also to prove to herself that she is strong in her own right, that she can actually surpass Momo and step out of that shadow, that box that she is constantly being lumped into. And maybe she also kind of wants to flip the script just a little bit to where by the ending of this match, Momo ends up being compared and boxed in with Kendo, because Kendo just wants to be viewed as an individual and just show everyone she is strong in her own right. And I get that for Kendo's character. But then when you look at Momo, she sees a person wanting to go after her that views her as superior. And Momo knows that she has a weakness within her. She has a weak side to where she has self-confidence issues, and she's trying to grow and develop as a hero. And for her with this match, she wants to overcome that weakness, kind of make those spur-of-the-moment decisions, but also prove to Kendo that that version of Momo that she sees is in fact correct. So there is technically a lot riding on this little matchup, but Momo is going to have to overcome Kendo by just blocking the bombardment that Kendo is putting her through, and then make the spur of the moment decisions, being able to think while in combat at the same time. And if she is able to do that, maybe Momo can actually come out on top against Kendo. But of course, while this match is going down, we have a little insight from our peanut gallery of Tetsu and Todoroki, to where Tetsu is praising Kendo for moving the situation into her advantage, but then Todoroki immediately chimes in and is like, whoa, 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 not so fast. If Kendo really viewed Momo as a threat, I think she would have came up with a different strategy, and even goes as far as to say she should have had her whole team backing her up. She should have went 4-on-1 against Momo in order to take her out, because rising to the challenge is Momo Yaoyorozu's field of expertise. That right there is some pretty big praise coming from Todoroki, and I bet you that made the shippers of Momo and Todoroki very, very happy within this moment, because it's basically Shoto sticking up for his woman, where he says, if you guys wanted to take Yaoyorozu out, you guys should have brought backup. And that's basically leading us into the cliffhanger of this chapter, to where as Kendo is just constantly bombarding Momo with her gigantic fists, Momo's still able to think within this situation and she starts to create something, but we don't know exactly what. Right now, there are infinite possibilities as to what Momo could be creating, but I'm very curious to see what she's going to create and if she is in fact able to defeat Kendo within this moment, and whether or not we could reach the end of the match next chapter, because even if Momo is able to defeat Kendo, what are they going to do with Manga, with Kinoko, with Kurohiro? How are you going to get rid of the constantly growing mushrooms with the powerhouse double team of Kinoko and Manga? Because humans plus mushrooms equals just mushrooms everywhere. So how are Tokoyami, Aoyama, and Toru going to factor into this? Can Class A come out on top? Because from what I've been hearing from a lot of you guys predict Class B to win out this match, and I kind of feel the same way, but we won't know until we get next chapter. So guys, that right there is my review for chapter 200 of My Hero Academia, the big 200 chapter. I'm glad we got it. Sure, it was shorter than normal, but that just had to happen. So looking forward to seeing how the chapter lengths are going to be moving forward. But now I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this chapter. What were your positives? What were your negatives? What do you think about the reveals of Kinoko and Manga's quirk? And who do you think is going to come out on top between Momo and Kendo? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you guys want to talk more about My Hero Academia, feel free to follow me on Twitter, guys. A link to my Twitter account can be found in the description down below. That's going to do it for me here, guys. So until next week, when we have chapter 201 of My Hero Academia, I'll talk to you guys next time. But remember, go beyond, plus ultra.